teams and kind of help set them up with a lot of their observability strategies, especially on their kind of front end applications. And as part of that, we also covered quite a bit on their on-call strategy and incident management flow, and kind of working on that layer right before they get to on-call and incident management in terms of generating the data itself, but also what to do after that. And towards the later year or so, I started seeing more and more of this little company called Rootly, and kind of taking the place of this other Canadian company called PagerDuty. And I kind of found out, oh, hey, they're also based out in Toronto, which is where I'm based out of typically. And now I'm here. So yeah, and prior to that, I spent a couple of years as a software engineer, most recently at a big Heroku competitor as an SRE. So yeah, been very happy chatting with Danny and kind of talking about your incident management process over at Grail, and looking forward to see how we can help the team today.
Thank you so much. Let me see.
Hey, I'm Andrew Drew. I'm not going to go through my exhaustive 30-plus year career. Started at Motorola, went to Excite. Most recently been working in the healthcare space with a little company called Cognoa, and now Grail. And I'm sort of on the SRE team here, currently looking at new products like Rootly and a new product called, well, not new, but a product called Teleport. So that's my focus of late. Dan, you want to go?
Dan.
Yeah, sure. I'll be, I'll be, I think, Rootly consumer here at Grail, should we adopt it. And I work on a little bit of incident response, but that's almost entirely Danny. And then do some SRE and DevOps work for Grail.
Cool.
Yep. So
did you and Ebony want to go again, or if we?
No, let's start. So just
I think we've met you guys a bunch of times. So
yep.
Very good. Yeah, and let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. So the context, we're going to do a quick demo. The thing we're going to do is we go simulate a Wi-Fi outage, just similar one that we had last week, I believe. So I thought that would be good kind of demonstration as how this will work. It was a Wi-Fi outage, and JP and Gideon will go to the workflow using Rootly from the moment it's escalated from monitoring, and go through the regular incident management process, escalation, pulling people in, integrating with Stack, the postmortem, all that stuff. I think through this demo, I think everyone see a good overview, and this is being recorded. I can share that with other people if they're interested. Okay, JP, stage is yours.
Do you want to start recording this, Danny?
Yes. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Do you want to start recording?
Already started.
I already started.
Really, I don't. Oh, okay.
See it? Confirm?
I see it, yes.
Okay, I want to make sure it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. I see. Okay, JP, did you want me to say anything? Do you want me to mention anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Share the screen, yeah.
Time, so so let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Not a big deal at all. Always love the interaction. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm actually going to start off in the mobile app. So I could not get my iPhone to sync properly to this iPhone mirroring app in my MacBook, so I'm doing it this way if I'm doing this correctly. Come on. There we go. So here I'm in a mobile app, and across the bottom here, you can see we've got different tabs. I have a alerts tab, and in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mobile alert using this button here. So if I click on it, I'm going to go and say, I want to notify. Oh, here comes my internet being a little bit slow. Cloud Ops. Of course, I cannot spell Cloud Ops. The escalation team here, done. I'm going to put this as a medium urgency. And the title I'm going to use here is MPK Wi-Fi is down. Nice and simple. And if I want to put a description, I keep trying to type on my computer and I realize it's not the right way to do this. And my description will just say Wi-Fi down, just nice and simple here. And my keyboard does not want to go away unless I do that. So all I have to do is now create alert, start the page, and you can see it starts to create here. Now, I will of course get paged, but because I'm in my headphones, I am actually only getting it in my ears. But you can see here at the first one, we have the MPK Wi-Fi is down, and all I do is I click on that. I can see the status of it, what it is, any services associated, the team is associated. And from here, since I am the one on call, I'm going to acknowledge it. And a color will change so you know what state it's in. I can also resolve what we can do that later on. So what we can do now is we can actually use the plus button to go ahead and escalate to someone else if I want to, share it out to someone else if I want to, and kind of go from there. Now, if I keep scrolling down a little bit further, you can see we have no related incidents. And we can create one if we need to. We have our timeline as to who's in knowledge, who's been paged. We also have a payload if we had a real, this coming from an actual monitoring system, but it'll tell you what data is in it. And from here, I'm going to switch back over into the Slack side of things. So in Slack, you'll get the same type of notification. You can see what was acknowledged, where it's at, and I can, of course, resolve, escalate, do anything else I need to. If I go to see more, you can see I have an option to actually turn this alert into an actual incident itself. So I can go ahead, create the incident, and this form is customizable to your liking. I know on your end you use Sev 1 to Sev 4. I have some workflows that I couldn't change off from Sev 0, so I couldn't change that. But in your real life scenario, you can make this whatever your custom severities are today. In this case, I'm going to keep this very, very simple and basic. Simply leave the title and create the incident off of it. Now, the cool thing about this is Rootly will take a lot of your manual process and just automate it. So the first thing you'll see is we have kind of what we call this instance Rootly channel. Some call it a war room, some call it something else, but it's effectively a list of your ongoing incidents, or incidents in general, I should say, with some updates on it. So is it started? Is it resolved? Is it mitigated? What severity? When was created? Who was it created by? And even a link to our status page, the incident page on Rootly, and the ability to go into the dedicated Slack channel that we created for you. So I'll go ahead and jump into the Slack channel itself. And if we're mimicking kind of that Menlo Park, Wi-Fi is down, want to get an idea of what we can do, you'll see the first things we've done are a few. We've created a Jira ticket for you automatically, so no need for you to do that on your own. We'll create a Zoom room for you as well. And I would show our Zoom AI bot, but I can't because it'll offset mine in this one here. But I will give you some context as to what that does in just a little bit here. And you'll see that we also added a few folks to the Slack channel right away. So Andre King, Andre Yang, and Jamie Baker, they were all added automatically. And so if you kind of think about your situation where you might have a core group of incident commanders, or maybe some by team, we can conditionally say, if it is this team, bring these people in. Or if you have a core group of people who are involved in every incident, we can just make it a rule that anytime there's any incident, put them in to the channel. I see your hand is up, Ebonish.
Yeah, was this channel just created now? Like when the incident was created? Oh, that's great.
Oops, sorry. I was trying to move this, make it a little bit bigger, but that's okay. But yeah, it's made right off the bat. Go ahead, Andrew, or Drew, if you prefer that.
Either one. So how are we populating who's in what? In other words, are we basing this on Okta groups, or are we basing this on Workday groups? How do we populate who's who on what incident?
So we do have SSO and then SAML and SCIM, so we can go ahead and bring in your groups from Okta, populate them based on the members in there, which will then be populated in Teams and Rootly. And then we can conditionally say, hey, if it is this team, bring in these people based on that team membership. So that can all be automated very easily.
Excellent. Just what I wanted to hear.
Awesome. So, when you go through a process, there's a lot of kind of that, I'll call it manual process, but more so kind of that mental model you think about, because you have an idea, but it's very easy to be inconsistent and miss steps. And so we can populate little reminders like this to say, hey, don't forget to do this, or this is what you should be doing next. So I have a handy button I can press. And in this case, it's to manage roles. So I go ahead and say, you know what, I'm the commander. Let's assign myself as that. Updates live in real time. And what's cool about this is it also tells me that my responsibilities as the commander is to delegate tasks, listen, move things forward, and just don't get stuck. And so, that's pretty typical, but I should say, if you ever want to change, the commander name to incident commander or some other wording or responsibilities around, all this can be customized inside of Rootly to how you want it to be. Now, if I scroll up again, you can see this control panel has a lot, meaning that a lot you can actually work with. So I'm the commander. I have buttons to update the incident, buttons to manage my tasks. It's an actual live action item, which I'll show you in just a second here. If you need to escalate to someone else through PagerDuty or through Rootly on call, you can go ahead and do that here as well. All you do is you say, what's the problem? You can pick if it's a team, a service, or an individual or escalation policy you want to ping. You have that flexibility here. I'll skip these for now. I think they're a little bit unnecessary at the time currently. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our tasks, because as the commander, there's certain things I need to do. And how do I know that? Because, inside my Slack checklist, you can see my role here that's just assigned to me because I'm the commander is to ensure roles are assigned. Let's pretend that's done. As I update these, they go into their own bucket of done or completed. That way you always know who is actioned what, and also knows what's outstanding. And you don't ever have to leave Slack to do this, which is one of the beautiful things of this. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say, maybe I've learned a little bit more about the incident. Not enough though. So what I do know is that the amount of customers impacted is high. And the service in this case is Amazon RDS. So as far as I know, that's it. Let me go ahead and update this. And note that this right now says severity 3 because we don't know enough details. So this is kind of the standard. But if I update that now, you can see I have a sample playbook that's come up in Google Docs here. And I'll open that in just a second. And if I come back to the update field, you can see that because customers impacted was high, our suggested severity here is SEV 0. So now as the commander or someone else, I can go ahead and say, in this case, it's SEV 0. Let's go ahead and update that. And we can now automatically start paging different people based on the fact that it's SEV 0 affecting this service. So all of this can be fully automated. From a playbook standpoint, I'll go ahead and open this up. Here's one that we just pulled into ChatGPT on that 5 flies down. So verify scope, escalation path, switch to backup. From the investigation standpoint, I need to check my hardware, check the ISP, run diagnostics, that type of stuff. Now, when you're doing this, you don't want to have to go somewhere else to actually take a look at all that stuff. So what we can do is back in tasks, you'll see some new ones are populated in here. So check ISP status page, run diagnostics on internal network, check your hardware. And now as the commander, I get to go and say something like, hey, Gideon, I need you to take care of this, my man. And because Wi-Fi down is a big deal, if you're not done it in 5 minutes, you're going to get reminded. So very easily as the commander, I get to drive responsibility and accountability along the way and make sure that things will be actioned. And if they aren't in time, they get reminded without me having to think about it. Going to take another quick pause. Any questions so far?
No, so far so good.
Oh wait, this is the meeting room, isn't it? Here on.
Oh yes, I
Okay.
turn on my camera.
Oh, hey, Alex.
Hey.
Cool.
Danny, what do you think?
Sorry?
I know Danny's muted. I'm like, Danny, what do you think?
I love it. I can't wait. I asked the JP to use the Wi-Fi down example last week, and I think this will resonate with everybody, right? And Gideon, I don't know if
You
you,
didn't say that. You want to negotiate. What do you mean I can't wait?
I can't wait to get this in.
Kidding.
Oh, JP, did you mention? I'm sorry about hooking up with the monitors that it will automatic. I don't know if you mentioned that part. So this way, it's even faster when the
it's right
monitor.
here.
Yeah, right. See.
Yeah. So yeah. What I did is I configured to say, okay, I've learned a little bit more, but I need to understand, what's actually driving this, what happened here. And a lot of cases, you'll go back to like a monitoring or telemetry tool and say, okay, let's start diving into it based on kind of gut instinct. But when I updated the incident service to be Amazon RDS, I have automation in there that says, let's go into Datadog, pull in the relevant snapshots, put it into Slack, and help me understand where things went wrong. And immediately, I can see there's a big anomaly here. So I can say, my action controller, great place to start my investigation. Now, it's not meant to say this is the exact reason for an incident, but if we can help speed up your process and streamline that just a little bit more by giving you suggestions and helpful ideas and graphs, that's what we're aiming to do here. And the cool thing about it is because this is a snapshot, we'll also automatically add this into your retrospective or your postmortem timeline automatically without any copying or pasting.
Great. Yes.
Awesome.
What is your CTO's name? I think Sylvain or.
That's Quentin. Sylvain is our head of AI.
Yeah. He showed me some of this thing at some point a month and a half ago, and I really liked it. So that sounds like Danny, jump on it. We need this.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
So actually, speaking of AI, let's jump into that piece a little bit more then. So we have context in Slack. You're going to jump into Zoom room. You're going to talk about things. There's going to be context in there as well. And one of the most difficult things during an incident is gaining context from both sides, consolidating it into one quick, really blurb or a summary. And so we have a Zoom AI bot. It'll actually go in, do a live transcription, send it to Rootly. We'll also go ahead and take a look at all the messages in the Slack channel, and we'll consolidate that for you by using this Rootly catch-up command. What it does, it compiles all that based on a live summary, and all of a sudden you can see, here is my summary. Menlo Park Wi-Fi outage, sub-zero, started at what time? Sub-zero suggested, so great, everything matches. Here's the meeting room if I want to jump into it. What's the service? Are customers impacted as high? Like, it's a great summary you need. And anytime someone joins the Slack channel that's new, the first thing they'll see is this. But it'll be, again, only visible to the person that joins, so it's not extra noise in the channel either. You can also do one other thing here. You can add Rootly to ask it some questions. So most commonly, we'll see something like, write me a customer-facing status update, or maybe even want to do an executive leadership update. So you have a few options here. But we'll go ahead and thread this for you. So this is customer-facing. You may, of course, want to edit it a little bit, but you, of course, can see that you have a great foundation to work off of if you ever need to send some customer-facing communications.
And JP, this language cannot be customized a little bit farther, right? So if we put in some variables, things like that, just make it even shorter. That's all possible, right?
We can. So, Gideon, correct me if I'm wrong, because we have this we call it a task inside of Rootly for our automation workflow. We can go ahead and create a task that actually builds in some prompts to say, shorten it or add this type of language or whatever. But again, Gideon, please keep me honest here if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, you're good there.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying is like in case some really high severe, I want able to text to the executive like Alex or Abby, so they have visibility on your text, so they know what's going on the instant it happens, right?
Yeah. So we have a few options here. So let's just play out the scenario. That I don't have configured. I couldn't play with it too much. I had to configure it a little bit differently. Maybe I've realized this is actually a step 2 incident. I update that now. So again, this control panel updates live. And if I scroll down, you can see it updates to step 2 in our topics as well. right here. But you'll see the leadership channels actually popped up. And in here, you can see we've got a little pre-canned message built in already. So it's, set 2, Amazon RDS, Zoom Room, Wi-Fi is down, Slack channels, they can jump in and really be part of it if they want to. We can send this as an email. We can send this as a text. We can even send a phone call. So you have flexibility to choose how you want to send it, what message is sent, and at what conditions and what time to send it at.
Perfect.
So leaving that here, as you go through the incident itself and you have Slack channel, I often see that there are a lot of messages in the channel that are useful, but copying and pasting it to put into a timeline or maybe turning it into a follow-up action item, for example, it's not fun because you're really copying and pasting. It's not a good use of your time. So Rootly, we can use the push pin emoji. This will add it to your retrospective or your postmortem timeline, and we acknowledge it so you know it's working. This follow-up action item, if I use the memo emoji on it, it does 2 things. So that original Jira ticket that we created earlier, if I come in here now, you'll see that we have the Jira ticket created. We've got the service, a timeline. More importantly, that follow-up action item you can see is now a subtask in that Jira ticket that we originally created for you. It makes your life a heck of a lot easier. And the other thing this does is it also adds it to your postmortem at the end of the day. So again, it's all in one consolidated place without you thinking about it or like, oh, did I do this? Did I do that? It's just done for you.
Sorry, CTO and a VP of software is here as well. Satnam.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Thank you for the demo.
JP and
Good.
From
JP.
Nice to meet you both.
Yep, continue. I didn't mean to,
No worries at all. It's great to meet you both. So we were just running through an incident and we kind of had the Slack channel going here and I used some emojis inside of Slack. This is the first one I used that takes a Slack message and it adds it to the actual retrospective or postmortem timeline for you. And the memo emoji, which I used on this follow-up action item, it does 2 things. So the first thing it does is it takes that message and it turns it into a subtask to that original Jira ticket we created for you earlier. And then it'll also go ahead and add it to your final postmortem or retrospective, depending what you call it as well. So a lot of that manual process you're doing today, we just take care of all of that for you. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and resolve this incident. Again, this form is fully customizable, by the way. And if you want, we can even generate the resolution message here. It's calling out that several tasks are still marked to do, which is a great thing to call out. But I'll submit this here. And now, once the kind of gives its little thing here, we'll get an extra link. We'll come back into the website of things, and you can see that we've done a few things. So first is we've generated a guided retrospective process. Now, I find for a very manual process for retros, they can be pretty painful, and the timeline alone can take hours. But more importantly is it'll differ based on type of incident, severity of incident, because on a step 3, step 4, you don't necessarily need a full-blown process. Maybe something very lightweight, but on a step 0 or step 1 or a step 2, something more heavyweight, we can do that. So we can customize this process as you see fit. But the cool thing about this, again, to keep accountability and responsibility, is we can assign step owners across each step and due dates for each one. We can also include little forms for them to fill out here so you can understand what information to actually capture along the way. But I think the hardest part, which is actually building and generating that retro, is done for you automatically. We have integrations with Confluence as well as Google Docs. And what we have here is title, the overview, timestamps, and links. Now, I know you have your own template. We can go ahead and work with you on that. but we can go ahead and add stuff like this. Like, what are my timestamps? How long did it take to mitigate? How long did it take to resolve? So you can really calculate the elapsed time between each step. And I apologize. We have some formatting, which is actually meant for Confluence. So that's why it shows the H3 in here. But this is the section you would fill out. So it's like your 5 whys, root cause analysis, what did we learn? But most importantly, that timeline from when the alert was created to the escalation, the incident being created itself. And we scroll down a little bit further. Here's the graph we pulled in. Here's that push pin emoji I used to push that message into the timeline. And then the follow-up item all here in one doc. And this was just from me resolving an incident and running an incident entirely in Rootly. We did not really leave Slack ever.
So Alex, I'm pointing out this template is from the one I did, the MPK PGE, using the manual work I did. And all this is done by Rootly automatically right now. Pretty much follow my format. And I thought it was a good integration to show the time we can get this done so quickly, automated, no manual calculation, and lots of KPI.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all built out for you. And Danny, it's a great segue actually. So we do capture a lot of metrics for you. So if I come into metrics, we've got 2 sections. One is on-call metrics, which I'll start with here. If you end up moving to Rootly on call, we have options to understand my alerts, time to acknowledge them, resolve them. You can go ahead and say, oh, you know what? I want to know what the alerts by responder are. So I can understand, burnout, health by any chance. So let's take out none. I am partially colorblind, so I'm struggling to see which is the right purple here. Oh, that's provide. So I'm going to take out provide. And now I can see pretty even distribution. That's good to know. So let's go ahead and export this out, share it with leadership. I can maybe share this entire report out to individuals or the entire organization. I can even download a PDF of this if I want to. I can move things around, add custom panels, filter as I need to. Now that is the on-call side of things, but what about the incident? So this is the incident dashboard. So again, number of incidents, action items, and postmortems. My mean time to mitigate, mean time to resolve, and same thing. So I can filter things around, export, share, download the PDF. One of the things I think we actually don't talk about enough is because you have a lot of incident data being captured by Rootly, a lot of times trying to understand like a raw export of just like a CSV of maybe like a step 3 table, for example. How do we get that right now today? It's painful. So you can actually go ahead and create a custom table in Rootly or metrics. And now you just say, let's export to CSV. And now you have the raw data to manipulate as you see fit.
Great.
The other thing I do want to talk about is Copilot. So this is another piece of AI that is currently in beta, but the metrics you have behind you are very much more what I would call static. And how do you do better trend analysis? So Copilot is meant to help you with that. So here's a great example question. How many incidents were there for each service in the last 3 months? Rootly AI compiles that for you. I can CSV it, or if I press on chart, it builds it for you automatically. And now I can download this and say, oh, it's overall, even taking this out, pretty flat, arguably going down, except for this one. You have ways to kind of manipulate this as you see fit, but you have a trend analysis you can kind of look off right off the bat and put this in a quarterly report. And you don't have to build it yourself, which is the most beautiful part of it all. So that covers a lot of what I wanted to show here today. But I'm curious, was there anything else the team was curious about that you would wanted to see or know if Rootly's capable of doing?
Yeah, JP, can you highlight the PagerDuty, just kind of compare contracts, because that's kind of critical. We may want to, switch everything to Rootly, but I want you to call that out so Alex and executive knows about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you some context on this, we built Rootly on Call probably about 18 months ago now or so. And it was because our customers kept saying the same thing to us. They're like, you know what? PagerDuty works, but my goodness, is it expensive? And my goodness, is it rigid and hard to use? So when we released Rootly on Call, our goal was to put out the easiest, simplest, and far less costly alternative to PagerDuty. And so, little things that I'll call out as part of this demo is if you look at, I'll take this one actually instead. Take a look at this one here. Overrides, PagerDuty are painful. For us, I click on a shift, I click create override, change the name over, and I can take over this entire shift. Or if I want, I can do a partial override, simply change time range. Now I can see it becomes a partial. I move myself back over here, submit. And just like that, I've taken over the last 5 hours of this shift. I get a nice clean audit log to tell me who owned it before, even split up my 5-hour shift even further, which is impossible with every other tool right now, reassign it to someone else or revert it back to original. The other cool thing that I'll note out here is if I go to edit this, and I don't know how many of you have been on call and had to experience this painful thing, but when someone leaves the organization in Rootly and they're in PagerDuty and they're on call, all their shifts, they shuffle over. So if anyone's got time off or days booked off, that integrity of the schedule is lost. And so people don't know when they're on call anymore. So what we did is we implemented 2 things to fix that. One is a toggle for 24/7 coverage to help us understand, okay, if it shuffles over, how do we make sure we don't do that? And we'll detect the gaps automatically here in red, and we'll also highlight it in this gray crosshash here. So if I click on this gap, you can see it shows gap, but I'm actually assigned to this shift. And that's because we have the concept of this fallback assignee, meaning anytime there's a vacated shift, we will automatically have myself in this case cover that shift so that no one's integrity of that schedule gets affected. And anytime they've booked off, anytime they're supposed to be off call, you know that stays intact. It's just a lot of peace of mind for your responders. The other thing that we've done really well is shadows. So whenever you bring on someone new to Rootly, you don't have to build a second schedule just to have them shadow someone. What you do, you just go and say, Gideon, let's have you shadow Andre King, because Andre is a great incident commander. So for the next 2 weeks, when Andre gets paged, Gideon will get paged as well. Very easy for them to understand quickly. How does Andre run an incident? How do they run being on call? I'll respond to the alert. How do I know it's a false positive? You get real hands-on learning just built in. And as soon as this expires at the end of the day, it moves, into expired state and it just drops off. You don't have to manage a second schedule by any means. Another thing I'll call out is notification pieces. We can go ahead and sync individual Slack user groups to Rootly schedules. Meaning if I add CloudOps right now, it'll tell, no one's on call, but it's me, so it'll tell me that I'm currently on call. And this will update at 5 p.m. Pacific to say it is Andre the Giant on call. But we also can pick a Slack channel per schedule to say, what are the weekly shifts coming up? What changes have been made? So shift update notifications. So it's like overrides, rotation times changing. And then we also have shift start notifications. So whenever a new shift is starting, we can post it in that channel for you automatically. It's just a nice, clean way to make sure everyone stays on the same page, no matter what's happening, because you can't monitor everyone's shift. This just does it for you.
Hey, JP.
Hey.
For the executives in the room, like the first bit where, when someone gets pinged and when someone gets paged, and that automatically creates a bridge and notifies them. That's something I don't think we currently have. I think, we manually create a Slack group and, we create a Zoom channel and add people to that. Is there something, you can quickly show? Because I know Satnam and Bob joined a little late.
Let's do it. So I went and used the /rootly new command just to create a new incident. I'm going to go ahead and just create a very blank one in the interest of time here. So I've created a new incident. And you can see that I have created a public message just to let people know that the incident's been created. Here's some details around it because there's nothing really filled out. It just says started, not assigned. But now you can jump into the Slack channel we created for you automatically. And in here, you'll see a few things. Jira ticket created, Zoom room created. And all people have to do is jump in and the Jira ticket will update automatically, no copying and pasting needed. Then we also invited Andre King, Andre Yang, and Jamie Baker to this channel without me clicking anything other than creating the incident. So we can very easily build kind of your, I'll call it the incident commander team, or, maybe you have internal teams that are responsible for each type of incident. We can bring those people in automatically based on the conditions of the incident itself.
Great. You can also add a runbook to this, right?
Oh yeah, let's do that right now. So the one that we used for you was the, Amazon RDS. So we'll use this one here. Here's Amazon RDS. I'll just update that really quickly here. And by me updating it, I was able to conditionally say, whenever that's affected, bring in a sample playbook from Google Play Docs. And here it is right here. So this is really just mimicking kind of a playbook if Wi-Fi went down. And it tells me what to do. Verify scope, escalation path, backup, check hardware, ISP, network. It's a lot. And, it's great to have a reference point. But more importantly for us, what we wanted to do was say, how do we keep you entirely in Slack? And so if you think back at some of the items I showed in that playbook, we've actually taken that and translated it into tasks here inside of Slack and Rootly. So check ISP status page, run the diagnostics on the internal network, check your hardware, stuff like that. We bring it all in for you. So very easy to kind of use these, check them off as they're completed, so you can see very quickly what's been executed, what's outstanding, and you can go ahead and do things like assign responsibility here as well. So I'll use Gideon again in this case. And you can set timers if they're critical or maybe moderately important. So building that, I've used this a few times about responsibility and accountability, all in Slack.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for sharing this. Another thing we spoke about, like in one of the previous sessions, was it has the ability to, kind of capture, conversations while we troubleshoot. Is that via the note taker capability, or how does that work?
So you're thinking about probably that Zoom bot that we have coming in. Because I'm in a Zoom meeting with you right now, I can't just open this again as well. But what happens is the Zoom AI bot that sits in, it is listening to what you're talking about. It does a live transcription of it. And then it brings it all into kind of one summary for you. So you think about Slack channel, all the messages, it's a lot. You think about the Zoom room, everything being talked about, again, that's a lot. So this catch-up command here, it brings both of those contexts together into one summary that looks like this.
So that would be separate. So we need the chatbot and, the note taker bot to be integrated with Zoom, and then it reads off of that.
Yeah, the Zoom AI bot, as long as you're integrated with, you've integrated Zoom into Rootly, the Zoom AI bot's just a toggle button that you just turn on once you've opted into AI. So it's very easy to set up.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So that is that piece. They got a chance to see the retrospective already. I am curious, I'm sorry, I don't know your names on your end, but was there anything that was particularly important to yourselves that you wanted to see I could show you here today as well?
Alex, do you have any question that you want to just kind of deep dive a bit? Or I think Andrew's there too. So, there's this.
Andrew definitely had a question, of course, from the compliance point of view. Andrew, do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, first off, thanks for the demo. Great to see your solution. Sorry that I came in a little bit late given another meeting. With the the Zoom bot that's listening and then summarizing, can you talk me through what happens to that data? Where is it stored? How does the summary process work? The reason I'm wondering is from a compliance lens and from a legal lens, what kind of records do we have of that from the contemporaneous conversations that are being had during the response itself?
Got it. I'm going to be very open, and I'm going to hand it over to Gideon because he's smarter than I am with this stuff.
So the question was, where's the transcription data stored and how the summary process works?
That's right.
Yeah. So we use subprocessor for AI naturally, right? We don't have our own model. We use one of the big 3-4 providers out there. We use OpenAI currently, right? So we use OpenAI to feed the transcript into FreeVM and be able to actually generate outcomes out of it. The transcript is stored in as part of the incident data itself as well. So it's something that can be referenced later and something that we use to be able to enable features like automatically generating summaries, automatically generating the retrospectives later on, and generating task items and things like that later on too. What we do before we send any of this data to OpenAI or to any other subprocessor that we might use is we do have a anonymization process first. So we don't just send it verbatim, like we get your transcript and we send it over as is. We do anonymize it first, to make sure we don't include sensitive data.
One thing I'll add to that actually in particular is you can help us understand a little bit more, because everyone's data is a little bit different in terms of what they consider PII or sensitive data. And so you can help us understand some of those and what that might look like, and we can build that into our anonymization algorithm that we have as well. So that's something we can work with you on.
And that's the kind of the crux of my question, JP, right? Is if something was to happen, heaven forbid, we may be dealing with PII or PHI, a full transcript of the discussion, the dialogue that we're having during the response process is not something that we would necessarily want to have as an asset to be potentially discoverable following.
Yeah.
So where does that data live? How much of the data is really intact? And from a summary standpoint, what does that mean for the content we're discussing, which we would want to maintain privilege over at all times and control over at all times? That's the trust of it.
Yeah.
Had any clients, of course, without names, that have dealt with a similar challenge or have used it for response and asked similar questions of you in terms of how about the data being discoverable or how to protect the things that are within that conversation?
That's a good question. I think we'll have to take it back and see, because we do work with quite a number of financial institutions and also cybersecurity institutions which have had similar concerns. I don't recall off the top of my head exactly how we handled it with them, but yeah, that's something we can take back and get back to you on.
That'd be great.
I do have a follow-up question on that. Do you leverage AI internally right now, and are you using or what providers are you using today for that?
It depends on the use case.
So between OpenAI, we use Gemini.
Okay. Because what I was thinking is, for some folks who have a little bit more stringent compliance policies they have to follow through on, you can actually connect your own OpenAI. And that offsets a lot of the issues that we see people having. So that can just be done by integrating your OpenAI to Rootly's account, and it'll just be sent directly to you. And then we don't have to worry about that as well. We still transcribe it, but that's yours at that point. The other piece I know we have discussed internally is building an extra layer between. And this is for a FedRAMP customer. I don't know if we've actually done it or if we're just kind of in conversations right now. But they build an extra layer in between where we send it to the customer. They will scrub it with their own script that they built, send it back to us. It'll still go through our scrubbing, and then finally process it. That way you have control over the scrubbing mechanism and algorithm itself to make sure it's really where you need it to be at as well. So that's another thing I've heard. Again, I have to verify if we've gone anywhere with that or if it's still in early conversations, but I know it's been talked about.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but we'll take that back and get back to you. Any other questions though?
No, that's it. So probably we'll have a follow-up to see how we can do a POC on this as well. And there will definitely you can start the process of, paperwork, that sort of stuff we need to do.
So Alex, we've already started, we have a signed CDA, and we're currently doing a POC right now.
Yeah.
We just don't have approval, for some integrations. That's something that we need to talk about.
Sure. We can talk offline.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll move forward, and I think the only thing is the integration approval, and I will work with Abhinish to get that off the lineup. Alex, for your final endorsement. But the framework's in place. We have Slack established. We have Patrick's team ready to do some POC. Dan is on board as well, so we're ready to go.
Yeah. As soon as we get the data hurdles cleared up,
Yep.
definitely that's the next step.
Yep. Okay, that data.
Yeah, and we're looking at PagerDuty, which is coming up for renewal in April 2025.
Yeah.
So we have enough runway to do a POC and look at migration if that's the path forward.
Perfect. Well, it was great meeting everyone. If you have any questions, let us know. And I believe this is recorded, so you'll have a chance to go and take a look at the earlier demo as well if you'd like.
And it's recording on my laptop only. It's in my property. Andrew, just to let you know, it's on my property.
Great property, so.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Alex, Andrew,
Thanks,
Satyan,
everyone.
for joining.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, good job.